Welcome to the world of space.
to Space Dance and Space Synth Show on Radio Italo Disco Net.
Welcome, space lovers, to a radio show dedicated to space synth, Space Dance. As usual, this is your host, Alan McCron. For start, we open show with song Swedish Space Clouds by Lilja, aka Sansi, which is hint at today's transmission. In this transmission, which is number 108, we have pleasure to talk with one of space projects from Sweden. Very soon you will find which project will be today. This time we will skip Space Synth Mix and Classic section, and after interview we will go to the new generation Space Synth. Our previous special transmissions with interviews can be found on Mixcloud Space Dancer 2021. All of our shows are available at italodisco.net YouTube channel. Now, let's start our space flight. Through many transmissions, we had many special guests, and we thank them for taking time to do interview. All of them were space projects with one artist. Just a quick reminder. We had Ingo Sobolewski from Holomatrix in transmission 90, and Edwin Van Poyer from Galaxy Observer in transmission 88. This time our guest is a space project that is with us for a long time, and really expands space in genre, and listeners' mind. We are welcoming MindXpander, Swedish project of Patrick Lilja and David Rydberg. This interview is much longer than previous ones, because we have pleasure to hear their opinions, from definition of space synth to reasons for name of last album. In interview they shared their insight on music, space synth and creation of music. In the middle of interview we will do break with one of their songs. We will introduce their work after exciting song Excitation, that was on first album called Tribute to Laserdance. MindXpander project had first released in 2000, with already mentioned Tribute to Laserlands. On this album, they made famous space synth songs like Power Run, The Challenge, Everlasting Dream, Fear, and others, in their own recognizable style. After that, they continued in 2002 with Expanderland album that came with 11 new songs. Some of them were also on synthesizer dance compilations. Both of mentioned albums were released for Hypersound Productions. After that, there was a decade of break. They came back with Triumphant Return in 2012, made for Cut and Paste Productions. Again break, but shorter one. 4 years later, they made not one, but 3 self-published singles, Chasing Comets, Sea of Stars, and Synchronicity, which we had chance to hear on Space Holidays 8. In 2020, project made album Hypersound Singles, which contained their songs from synthesizer dance, including Departure Gate in instrumental, vocoder, and extended version. They continue next year with a single called U+1F595. Very productive project continued with a different album in 2022, called It Came From Great Green Arctic Seizure Left Nostril. Why it's called that, you will find now in this rendition. Album was more in ambientish style. There were 7 new songs, and 3 among them are over 10 minutes. Before we officially start interview in clean and unedited version, let's hear Stones and Marbles from last mentioned album.
Hi, my name is David,
Hello, and I'm Patrick.
and we are MindXpander.
Yeah.
We got a few questions from Alan that we are going to answer. And let's get on with it. Question number 1. How would you describe Space Synth to someone who has never heard it? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I would say it's mostly instrumental. It is full of melodies. It is very electronic, extremely few acoustic instruments and sounds, and I guess heavily processed in a way.
Yeah. But I also think it's kind of energetic and up-tempo and uplifting.
Yeah, happy.
Kind of happy. Even if it's often in minor scales, it's still happy.
It's happy sad.
Yeah.
Question number 2. Why did you choose to create this type of music? Oh, that's a long story, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, really. We kind of
No.
stumbled onto, at least for me, I kind of stumbled onto Laserdance and Kodo.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I heard it. We were on a choir trip,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to listen to KLF The White Room. And this was back in the days when you didn't have CDs nor USB memories or MP3 players. You had cassette tapes in a portable cassette player. And you had already listened to The White Room.
Yeah.
So I could either waste a lot of batteries rewinding the whole tape, or I could just listen to the other side first and then listen to KLF The White Room. And I asked, well, what's on the other side? And you say, well, it's some sort of synth music. You might like it, I don't know, but well, you can listen. And that was the album Masterpieces by Koto.
Yeah. I think so.
And yeah, it was. Because I remember when I pressed play and I heard those first few notes from Visitors, and I was hooked. It was so freaking good. And I felt like, I want to do this type of music myself. This is really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of, it sounded like the future back then. And still does.
Yeah, it still does. It still does. Question number 3. How did you choose your name for this Space Synth project?
Yeah.
Well, that's a question for you, because you chose our name.
Yeah, right. I kind of came up with it. But I think we were just... This was way back.
This is
This is way back.
beginning of the 1990s?
Yeah.
92, 93, 90...
Something like that.
Yeah, because I had the idea that since we were 2 people, we should have a name that reflects that we are 2 people. So I was thinking about the moons of Mars, Phobos and Deimos, which is horror and terror or something like that. But then we make this happy, uplifting music, and the name didn't really fit.
Yeah. But I think we were just sitting. I mean, I was living with my parents at that time, and we were just sitting, I think, in our kitchen, and just like brainstorming names.
Yeah.
And I just came up with it, and I don't really know why or where it came from. It was just, maybe something like MindXpander.
Yeah, because I remember that it's such a good name, because even though we wanted to make music like Koto and Laserdance, we still wanted to make it our own music in our own style, and we wanted to take it further. So we really wanted to expand on people's minds when they listen to the music, that there is more than just this type. We can also do, well, as all of you listeners to MindXpander has heard, we don't always do Laserdance copies of songs.
No.
We got our own stuff. So then the name, when it was such a great name.
It stuck.
Yeah. And when we were discussing album names later on, I think a few years later on, or 10 years later on, no, not really, 8 years maybe. And I was thinking about, okay, we are about to release an album. What should we call it? And we were sitting and having pizza, and you said, well, let's call it Expanderland. That would be good. And I was like, holy crap, you're so good coming up with all these names. Even though I'm the one naming most of the songs.
Yeah.
You're the one naming the band and the albums.
Sometimes I get lucky.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, because we're going to answer that. That's a later question. But you also named Triumphant Return. That's also your...
Yeah.
You came up with that one, and you also came up with... It came from the great green Arkle Seizures left nostril.
Yeah, but that was basically just a joke in another interview.
Yeah, it was. But still, you're the one who comes up with album names. I'm the one who comes up with song names.
Yeah.
And you're the one who actually came up with MindXpander, and I'm personally super happy with it because it's such an epic name.
Yeah,
if I may say so.
And I'm also the person who have no idea what any song is actually called. I can't remember song names for the life of me, and that's including our own. So people come like, yeah, that third song in the set, and I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah.
David, which was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was this one. Okay, but which one is it? And I have to hum it. Question number 4. What are your future plans for this music and music in general?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Well, we're working on an album, I think.
Yeah, we are.
And it's going to be sort of classic space synth style.
Yeah, more classic space synth than it came from.
Yeah.
But we're still kind of trying to expand on the limits, even though we try to adhere to most of the rules in the genre.
Yeah, I mean, space doesn't have any boundaries. Space is endless. You can go anywhere you want. You don't have to go back to the 1980s, to the super strict rules, and I don't know. Yeah, but we know what people like, and we do listen to our fans. I think it's extremely fun, and we're extremely happy every time someone just writes us an email saying that they really like the last song. And we released a song called Bobbing Head Syndrome, which is also just a joke. Basically, the name is a joke. And we actually adhered to all the comments that we've gotten the past couple of years, saying that Space Synth should be up-tempo, it should be this and that, and so on. So we just turned it to 11, and we put out Bobbing Head Syndrome on Space Holiday 14, which has been received quite well, and it's probably one of our best songs when it comes to up-tempo stuff.
Yeah, I think so too.
But
I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, same here. So, well, the plans for MindXpander is, well, to put out a new album. When, we're not sure, but let's hope it doesn't take 10 years, like the last one.
Yeah.
Because it took a long time. But music in general. So, what are you up to when you're not working with MindXpander stuff?
Well, I'm mostly up to work and family stuff, to be honest. But
when it comes to music,
I sort of went out in a tangent, and I'm mostly up to some ambient acoustic piano based music, which combines acoustic piano and experimental synthesis and modular synthesis and sound effects and stuff. And I don't know, I don't, it will probably never be any real project, but it's what I do. I kind of like it. It's therapy.
Well, that's, if you like it, then that's the only thing that counts.
Yeah.
Myself, I'm working on some down-tempo, chill-out sort of music. The music is heavily influenced by Enigma and Enya, and that sort of genre, the New Age, I think it's called. Not sure if that will render a single or an album or whatever, but I also recently did an up-tempo, uplifting trance remix for another Swedish band, which has been received quite well, which is fun. So we do a lot of other stuff than just Space Synth, I would guess, but Space Synth is, well, it's close to the heart. and it's so fun to do it. So
It
yeah,
is.
those
And also we should say that you're much better than me at actually finishing stuff. You're much
But-
better at getting stuff out there, and I'm much better at sit around fiddling for 2 days on a single sound, and then I go and scrap it.
yeah, I mean, we have two different approaches. Because when we're working together in the studio on something, I often hear, "What do you do?" And I
Yeah.
could just say, "Stop it. That's perfect. Leave it. Move on." And you say, "Oh, just one. No, not one more thing. It's good as it is. Bounce it and ship it over to me, and I'll put it in." And then you can do whatever you want to do on the next thing. But we need to progress this.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, but I think I will just add 10 more automation lanes of stuff that people won't hear.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. As it is, bounce it and ship it over to me, and I'll put it in. And then you can do whatever you want to do on the next thing. But we need to progress this.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, but I think I will just add 10 more automation lanes of stuff that people won't hear.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
We are doing a little break with their awesome and one of my favorite songs, Floating Spaceport. It was on their second album, but also on Synthesizer Dance 1, compilation by Harpy Sound Productions. There were also Star Runner and Mars Invader on Volume 1. Future Metropolis was on Volume 3, while Krog's Return on 4. The last song under MindXpander name was on compilation 5, called Ange de la Space.
question number 5. What hardware or software do you use to create this type of music?
This will be a very long interview.
I can't, for the top of my head, actually know everything that I use. But you can start, and I can think about it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We could start by saying that originally we used a lot of hardware synths. We both had quite big collections of synths. At least, I don't know, I were above 15 at least.
Yeah.
And you were probably
Around the
even
same.
worse.
Yeah.
But I mean, times have changed, and at least for me, I've kept the things I really enjoy using in hardware, and that is Klavier Nord 3, which won't leave here, and then the Electron drum the machine drum, the old one, and the analog rhythm. And then most of my hardware actually turned into Eurorack modular stuff. So
You went down pretty deep.
Yeah, I went pretty deep in that rabbit hole. So currently have a lot of that, which is very, very fun to use and yields great results, but also takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
To use, and sometimes you waste. Sometimes you spend a whole day to create the patch, and when you actually hear the patch and get it working the way you thought you wanted it, you realize that this sounded like crap.
And it's not in tune.
Yeah, and it's not in tune because I forgot to tune it before I set up all the frequency modulation. So it sounds like crap and it's not in tune. So let's just scrap it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it yields fantastic results also. That is really hard to get from other synthesis methods.
Yeah.
And then software-wise, at least for me, I run... we differ a bit here as well. I run Ableton Live as my main sequencer. Have done so for quite some time. And then really various soft synths and software.
Any favorites?
Yeah, when it comes to effects, I mean, Softtube is really, really good. And then the Eventide stuff, the Soundtoy stuff, FabFilter, especially the effects. Not that into the EQs and compressors and stuff, but the effects like Timeless and Volcano. And I probably forget a bunch. And then
I was thinking Output.
Yeah,
Thermal, Portal.
Yeah, I use those quite a bit as well. Use them less now though, since they're not Apple Silicon native.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and of course also some of the native instrument stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if Output, the Thermal and Portal will ever be, because I think they stopped developing them.
Yeah, they're selling them.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know if there will ever be an update to them.
No.
Yeah, and then various soft synths.
Yeah.
But not that many for me actually. I kind of tried to stick to and learn some like Arturio Pigments, which really can do a lot.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite as well.
Yeah.
I was going to mention. So back in the days, I mean, software, you couldn't. There wasn't any software instruments when we started this.
No.
You had to have hardware synths, and you couldn't really hard disk record them onto your computer. So
Not when we started. It was just MIDI.
Yeah, you recorded everything through a mixing console onto a cassette tape.
Yeah, sounded great.
Yeah, I wish. We thought it would. We thought it did, but in hindsight, it didn't really.
No.
Because we didn't have those fancy EQs and compressors and anything. So the synths were pretty straightforward, just onto the mixing desk and then onto tape, and it sounded like crap.
Yeah, and the first mixing desks were also really, really bad. It was like all the bass and everything above like 3K was just lost.
Yeah.
Just disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, there were good stuff in the 80s
Yeah,
and 90s,
of course,
but they
we
costed...
couldn't afford them.
No, we couldn't afford them. So we had this super cheap, I think it was Samsung Mixpad 9, I think
Yeah.
it was called, which later died. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I used a lot of hardware synths back in the days. I use less hardware synths now, even though my room is full of them. That's the sad part, really, because the latest productions that I've done is, I mean, for example, bobbing head syndrome. I think I'm using the Arturia Polybrute on 1, maybe 2 tracks, but that song has 60, 70 different tracks of audio.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've counted the buses where we mix everything. But the rest is software. The rest is actually just software. We mentioned pigments. That's also one of my favorite synths. I do have the Arturia V collection, but I rarely use any of the other one except for the Matrix 12, because I've done this killer sync sound on that one. And the fun part is that we have a friend who has an Oberheim expander.
Yeah.
And he said that, well, you're called MindXpander, and you don't have an expander. You need to have an expander. You can borrow mine, and you can do whatever you like with it for a week. So I set it up in my studio, and I tried to do some sounds on it, and then I tried to just clone the sounds into Arturia Matrix 12. And the short answer is they didn't sound the same at all, not even close. So I did this really cool sync sound on the Oberheim expander, the hardware. And even though the Matrix 12 V, the Arturia one, it isn't close, it's still a good sync sound. So I still use it. But every time I use it, I know that it's just a distant echo from what it's supposed to sound like on the hardware. But the hardware is like 4,000 euros or something.
Nah.
It's
more now.
It's even more. Yeah,
I mean,
even more.
Vintage hardware is like exponentially more expensive each month passing.
Yeah. So when it comes to hardware and software, you've been the one picking a few ones, and you learned them quite deep and well. I've been the hoarder in in a way, except for when it comes to Eurorack.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped when I reached almost the same size and volume of modules that you had.
Yeah.
But I've also actually taken a step back and sold a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that some of it had gone up so much in price that it shouldn't be collecting dust in my case. So I sold them, and I got the Arturia Polybrute, and I got a brand new MacBook Pro M1 Pro. And I had some money over, and that was from just 4 or 5 modules that I had. So Eurorack is super expensive.
It can be. It's always super expensive. It can be super expensive also, but
it can be crazy expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
but no, selling that's not really my thing. I have modules laying around on tables that don't fit in my cases.
Exactly. So yeah, sometimes we're the opposite, sometimes we're the same, and sometimes the tables has turned again. But yeah, maybe I should use more hardware. I don't know. It's so convenient and easy to use software, and they sound really good.
It sounds. It's not that hardware sounds better. It might sound different, but it's not better anymore. It's just different.
I did some. This is going to be a long interview, but I did some filter tests where I was sweeping the analog filter in the Mini Brute 2 and a Eurorack module from Synthesis Technologies called E440, and I did some both of them are analog. I did some filter sweeps, and then I compared it to a filter sweep with a digital filter in the computer, and seriously, the computer is very close. You can hear some different characteristics, but I guess that depends on how you model the filter in the computer. But the bottom line is, when you put it into a mix and you have hundreds of tracks running at the same time, I'm not sure I could pick which one is analog and which one is digital. And it's so much more convenient for me to work with software, so I'm mostly using software these days. But yes, I do have a lot of hardware synthesizers that I'm looking at and thinking if I should sell them or not. But yeah, who knows? Question number 6. Your space project released an album called It Came from the Great Green Arkel-Seizures Left Nostril. Can you tell us more about it and why you chose this name? So,
Yeah, we've already mentioned on the name.
yeah, the name was a joke from another written interview.
Yeah, exactly.
so-
They were asking what our next album title would
Yeah,
be. Yeah,
exactly. And you came up with It Came from the Great Green Arkel-Seizures Left Nostril. That's freaking hard to say.
Yeah.
And we thought that was quite a good name.
Yeah, at first it was a silly name, obviously. But
Yeah, and the thing is, it's actually a homage, and it's actually stolen
Yeah.
from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, because the universe was created by the Great Green Arkel-Seizure who actually sneezed.
yeah,
So that's how the universe was created. And
Exactly.
we thought that let's make an album like that. What if the Great Green Arkel-Seizure actually sneezed out a universe? What would it sound like?
yeah. And this is also, I mean, this is in part due to having a lot of fans also commenting on songs like now we're back to the song names. A Cryosleep Lullaby,
Yeah.
for instance. These down tempo and kind of space synth, but not really space synth, not traditional space synth.
Not to the heretics that the conservatives.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
we think it's space.
Yeah,
synth
yeah, of
because,
course, obviously.
I mean, space is, as we said, space is endless. There are no rules or boundaries, and we should be able to progress this into what. That's what I mean. If you haven't figured out why we're called MindXpander by now,
Yeah.
we're trying to expand on everything. So yeah,
Yeah, and this also this isn't really a new idea. I mean, one of my absolute favorite Laserdance album is Ambient,
yeah, that's a really good one.
and that is also not really the really traditional vein.
No,
And people said, but you have these cool down tempo songs. Can't you make something in that vein? So,
Yeah.
so it basically started there. So we said okay, and also an interest for electronic music in general, and ambient electronic music, and ambient trance and stuff.
exactly.
So we said okay, what can we do if we sort of take the stylistic things and rules from space synth, but like take all these other influences.
Yeah, we also had another rule. If the sound could be made by a Eurorack or a modular synth in
Yeah.
any way, it should be made by a modular synth.
Yeah,
Even if it's a pad, you just record it 3 times or more. So I do have some notes still at home where I've written some arrows. Someone goes around, someone goes up. So I knew how I was supposed to move a joystick when
Yeah.
I recorded it. So I could go back and then just switch the tone or note to a different note and record the same thing and do sort of the same movement with the joystick to actually create a pad that moves and evolves in the same way. Of course, there are some micro timings that misses, but that just makes it more alive.
yeah,
Because when we started this album, Eurorack was in everyone's studio, and it was super popular to use Eurorack. But everything I heard was just noises and squeaks and bleeps, and it wasn't anything that was melodic. It was, some people did dub and techno, and that's fine, but those weird industrial vacuum cleaning noises wasn't really up my table. And in some case, someone said that, well, that's the only thing you can have a Eurorack or a modular synth to do. And we thought, let's make an album that is melodic, and let's use modular synths as much as we can and as long as it goes. And I think, I don't know, 85-90% of the album is modular stuff.
yeah. A lot of it, at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, just to clarify, it's never been true that you can only make fart noises with big expensive modular system. That's never been true. There has always been lots of melodic music made on modular systems. It's just that when you browsed the YouTube,
Yes, true.
most of what you found was very experimental, and there is no wrong in that either. It's cool with experimental sounds and experimental sound design, but there has always been a lot of melodic music made on modular synths. It's just that.
I mean, if we go back to the 1970s, we have Tangerine Dream,
Yeah,
and we have
yeah.
Kraftwerk, and so on, and
Yeah.
they're using modular synths, and they do this melodic and really nice music with it. So I'm not arguing with that, but and as we
I
say,
wasn't saying. It was just a clarification.
Exactly, and I mean experimental
we're
music.
unfortunately not first.
No, we're not first. We've never been first with anything. Perhaps. Well, we might come to that. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. We used a lot of modular synths, and we wanted to make it melodic because all of the things at YouTube was just farting noises. And again, back to the name MindXpander, we wanted to expand on what was possible with the things that we had and what people were expecting from it. But one thing that I think we're first at is on that album there is a song called Floating in Zero Gravity.
Yeah.
And that song is written in 5/4. So there is 5 beats in every measure. So when you listen to the song and you count the beat, you need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and so on. We have a song in 3/4 or 6/8.
Yeah.
But we're not first with that one. I think or I know Protonic Storm has done one in 6/8, which is really great. I don't remember the name of it, but it's his music is always his music is absolutely great, and it's always been an inspiration to listen to his albums. And I think you can hear that on the album it came from, that we are leaning towards his style, and we have listened to him, but we try to make our own thing still. So the short answer to this question is that it's an experimental album.
Yeah, definitely.
It's down tempo, but we still think it's space synth.
Yeah.
And we're pushing the boundaries again. Just making a right turn in space and see what's over in the other sector. And that's what we found.
Yeah.
Question number 7. Your space synth project also had an interesting and unusual name of a song released on Space Holidays 12 called U+1F595. How did you come up with that name?
Yeah, that was you.
Yeah,
because
that was
this is
me.
a song name, so
It's a song name, so that was me. Yeah, so it's over the years when we tried to expand on the music and expand on the space synth genre in general, trying to make it our own and just explore further.
yeah, and I'd just like to point out we're not trying to be pretentious. We basically just do what we think is fun and what we like to do.
Yeah, exactly. And we rarely think of that beforehand. We think of that afterwards. It's like, oh, this turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, will this work?
But yeah, exactly. But we never ask ourselves the question: is this space synth when we do it? Not at least in the. It depends. Sometimes we have the roots and say, let's do a classic traditional space synth song. Then we ask the question: is this space synth? If it's not, we just toss it.
But and I mean, obviously, there are times we're experimenting in the studio and we get something and we say, oh, this is cool, this is really nice. But this really isn't MindXpander.
No, it's true.
This doesn't work. This doesn't fit.
No, then we just take it away and do it. Save it for some other project.
Yeah, but in general.
Yeah, so U+1F595, that's a Unicode character. And I guess you have to Google it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, over the years, we got so many emails saying that your music is too fast. Your music is too happy. You shouldn't use too many major chords. You should do this, you should do that.
Also, your music is too slow.
Yeah, we heard
slow
that.
Ones.
Yeah, the slow ones are too slow, the fast ones are too fast. I mean, so many emails piling up saying what we should do with our music. And
your drum machine doesn't sound like it comes from the 80s.
yeah, the list is endless, pretty much, and most of the times we just took them and we did the opposite. So I remember when I received that your music is too happy, it's too many major chords, Space Synth shouldn't be that. And we actually did a song called Ange de l'espace, Angel from Space in French. And it's only major chords except for one transition where I had to write a minor chord, but otherwise it would sound very stupid. So that song is pretty much just major chords, just to prove that Space Synth can be major chords and happy and still Space Synth.
Yeah,
Because-
and also as an experiment to ourselves, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it can't be. Oh, why can't it be?
Exactly.
What would happen if we?
Exactly. So U plus 1F595 is our response to all of those who emailed us over the years saying what we could and should do and what we couldn't do. So we did that song, as an homage to them, I
Yeah,
guess.
I guess so.
Because it's 122 BPM, so it's not too slow and it's not too fast. It has all those 16th basses notes, and it has staccato chords, and it syncleads. It has everything that a Space Synth song should have, but it's still, we really went quite far with that
Yeah,
one.
it kind of ticks all the boxes for formulaic Space Synth.
Yeah.
But
But still isn't in a
it
way.
kind
but
of isn't.
No. So I'm not gonna tell you which Unicode character it is. You have to Google it.
Yeah.
But I guess you can guess which one it is by now. So that's how we came up with that name. Question number 8. For my last question, I would like to know if you like science fiction movies and what your favorites are.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, yes. The short answer is yes.
Yes, of course.
But favorites? What are your favorites?
Favorites. Yeah, that's tough. There are so many. But I kind of have to say Aliens. And that is the one with the S, the second one.
Yeah. I remember when you had it on VHS and you
Yeah.
came home to me in my apartment.
Yeah, the special edition.
Yeah, the really long one.
The really long one.
And we looked at it, and I thought it was quite scary.
Yeah, it
and
was
you thought it
super-
was super action movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen it before, so
Yeah.
I had already been scared.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That movie.
Yeah, it is, and I kind of like it also because I think it's perhaps not the first, but I think it's one of the first space movies where space is actually dirty,
Yeah,
where the ships isn't white and clean and everything is like
super polished.
Yeah, exactly. It's dirty and it's oily and workers and I think it's quite cool, but
Yeah,
more
So,
more modern movies, yeah.
yeah, because that one is from the early 80s.
Yeah, it's very old. It's an old movie.
So more modern stuff then. I'm heavily into this series Mandalorian.
Yeah,
The Star Wars series Mandalorian, and all the spin-offs. I didn't like Obi-Wan, but I really liked Andor. That was amazing, and it felt a bit what you describe. Like space isn't super clean; it is dirty and it's shitty and stuff. So I can really recommend Andor, and Mandalorian, of course. The Book of Boba Fett was really good, but yeah.
yeah.
I would say Mandalorian is probably my most what I'm mostly into right now, and I'm waiting for season 4, and I'm also waiting for the new series called Ahsoka, which is also a spin-off in the Star Wars universe. I'm one of those who maybe don't like the Episode 4 movie, the Star Wars Episode
Yeah,
4.
okay.
But so I know. This comes back again. I like to not push people around, but I like to make them think, because someone told me that, well, that's the greatest movie of blah blah all time, blah blah blah, and I was like, but that's the movie where a robot is rolling around in the desert making bleep noises and then falls over.
Yeah.
That's the movie,
Yeah.
and that's good. And they
Yeah,
were like,
it's excellent.
don't say anything bad about this movie. And it's like, yeah, sure. But I really, really like the Star Wars universe. And yes, the Star Wars movies were really great. But when you start to nitpick certain scenes in the older movies, they're kind of bad.
Yeah.
But you, yeah.
Yeah, and then you also have a lot of great anime sci-fi like Ghost in the Shell and the spin-offs like Standalone Complex and stuff. And there's infinite amounts of good sci-fi anime.
Yeah.
And then you also have like newer stuff like Altered Carbon series on.
Right. I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah, that's really good actually.
Yeah, and anime is also your thing, and
Yeah, it was at least. It's been I haven't really had the time, but yeah, I think a lot of anime
we're
is cool.
forgetting. Oh, yeah. This is okay. We need to talk about this one because there is a cartoon sci-fi series that we really love that we haven't mentioned, and that series actually postponed one of the albums we were working on. And
Of course.
It's
Of
Futurama.
course. It's Futurama, yeah.
Futurama. So the thing is, I was living in Gothenburg, and you were living in Stockholm.
Yeah.
That is about 500 kilometers apart. So you actually flew down to me over an Easter holiday, and we were supposed to. I think it was working with Expanderland.
Yeah,
And Humphrey Robertson from Hypersound, he was like, "Hey guys, can you do another album?" Because we had put out a tribute to Laserdance.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do an album with just our own music. And I sent him a few demos, and he said, "Oh, this is awesome! Please keep working on this one." And we said, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
And we did.
we were.
We kept working on it, and we sent him more songs. And then he wrote me back and saying, "Okay, so when will this album be done?" And I was writing back and say, "Well, give it another 1 or 2 months, and we should be done with the album." Patrick is coming down to me over this week, and we will give it everything we have. And you came down to me, and we were in my kitchen, and we were cooking food, and we're supposed to have dinner on the first night.
We had rigged the stuff, and then we said,
Yeah.
"Okay, let's have dinner, and then we'll start." We have the entire week.
Exactly, and we will go into the studio and work, and then dinner was ready. We cooked something. I don't remember what we cooked, but we said, "Let's eat in the living room, and let's watch something while we eat." I mean, because that's what you can do. You can watch something, and you can talk, and you can eat.
Yeah, let's not take an entire movie.
Exactly.
Because that would take too much time.
Exactly. And I said, "Hey, there is a new series called Futurama. Have you seen it?" And you said, "No, I haven't seen it." And I said, "Okay, cool. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's watch episode 1 while we eat." And
Yeah.
we I'm not sure how many seasons we plowed through that week, but we didn't.
I think the ones that were available.
Yeah, the ones that were available by the time, but we didn't do much music at all.
No.
So Humphrey wrote me after that week and say, "How does it go? How long have you come with the album now when you worked for a week?" And I had to tell one of those white lies.
Yeah, we're like, it's pretty much done now.
It's coming along quite well. There is some stuff that we still want to do that will take some time, and we just had to reschedule another week. And I think I flew up to you not long after that, and so
and then
again, short answer: Futurama.
Yeah, Futurama. It's a great series.
It's really, really great. Do you have anything you want to add before we stop record?
No, I think we've wasted enough of people's time.
Yeah, I think so too. And if they have any questions, send them along. You probably know where to find us.
Yeah.
And we'll take another half year to record an interview.
Yeah.
Cool.
And hopefully release an album sometime in the future.
Yes. And if you've listened all this way to this very end of the interview, we would like to salute you and thank you and applaud you. Thank you for being a true fan. Thank you for always being with us and by our side and taking our side of the space battle that we're epically going through. But tag along on our space endeavor and space adventure. It's going. We don't put up that many albums, but every time we do, we think it's a new adventure, and you're always welcome to come and join us. So with that,
and also thanks for keeping the genre alive.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to all the other artists and the radio stations that pushes this. And actually, Alan, who came to us and asking all these questions.
Yeah.
It's been super fun and always, realizing in a way when you start to talk about stuff.
Yeah, we like to talk, basically.
Yeah, we do. So
Yeah.
I'm David,
Yeah, I'm Patrick.
and we are MindXpander, and thank you.
Thanks and bye.
Bye bye.
With thanks to Lilja and Rydberg for taking time to do interview for us. It was pleasure to hear their opinions and thoughts. We wish them all the best in life and in creating our space music. You can follow their work on Bandcamp, Facebook and SoundCloud channels. We will close this interview section with their last song for Space Holidays, Bobbing Head Syndrome on volume 14.
There is a new pandemic spreading across the galaxy. Rumor says that it's coming from the space synth community. But no one is certain. All we know it is named after how affected humans behave. The bobbing head syndrome. The bobbing head syndrome.
Bobbing head syndrome. Bobbing head syndrome.
Humans have taken to the streets. No one says a word. They're all just bobbing their heads. Bobbing their heads. They're all just bobbing their heads.
Bobbing head syndrome. Bobbing head syndrome. Bobbing head syndrome. Bobbing head syndrome.
The streets are completely taken over by dancing humans. It is an incredible sight. We tried to talk to a couple of the affected humans, but no one says a word. They're just smiling, dancing and bobbing their heads to the rhythm of the song. They're just smiling, dancing and bobbing their heads to the rhythm of the song. Smiling, dancing, bobbing their heads to the rhythm of the song. They're just smiling, dancing and bobbing their heads to the rhythm of the song. The bobbing head syndrome. The bobbing head syndrome.
Bobbing head syndrome.
The bobbing head syndrome.
Bobbing head syndrome.
Welcome to Space Dance Show. New Generation Space Synth begins.
We start new generation with one of projects that was mentioned in interview. Protonic Storm is Polish space project from Krzysztof Radomski. So far there are 3 albums. Interesting thing is that last 2 albums were released on same year as albums from our today's guest. Inner Traveling in 2002 and Cosmolog in 2012. Project have very long songs. 3 of them that was on second album were above 10 minutes. We picked up Superb Dragonplane that was on second album. there are many space projects from Sweden. A rough count is that there are above 35 projects. Anton Eriksson was also our guest in show, and he is creator of Rigels and then well-known Space Hawk. In interview was mentioned Laserdance and album Ambiente. Anton made whole album with dedication to Ambiente. So, get ready for his Galactic Zone from Space Opera album in 2022.
have now reached the galactic zone. You have now reached the galactic zone.
now that we mentioned legendary Laserdance, we must play one of their new generation songs. From superb last album Trance Space Express in 2018 for Zix Music. Let's listen lovable song Cyber Love. We will finish transmission with appropriate song for departure that was made by our today's guests. Departure Gate was released under the Lilja and P. Rydberg name on Synthesizer Dance 7 in 2005. Big thank you, space friends, for listening to this interesting, informative space dance. Hope you enjoyed our music, and I will see you in space next time.
space control. We are now reached the final